Hey guys, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, we are a homeschooling family with 4 kids. We've homeschooled for the very beginning, so this is our 6th year, I believe, if I'm doing that math correctly, which is not my strong suit. So today I am going to share with you what I think are the top ultimate homeschool field trips for families, and are also super doable if dad's at work and only mom is there. And these also work, I think, very well in like cohorts or co-ops, small groups, larger groups, and just mom by herself or with a friend. So I have them written down, so if you see me glancing down, it's so I do not forget any of these off my list. So the first one is local police stations or fire stations. You can also do a local recycling center. We have not done the recycling center, but the local police and fire stations are relatively easy. It's a great resource in your local community that everybody has. It's readily accessible. Usually you can call ahead and have a small group come in and they can do a tour. We've even just stopped in with our kids and done little thank you baskets and given them out. And they took us on a surprise tour in the back and were so accommodating for like a last minute kind of swing by. I think it's a great way to get to know your local community, and they really kind of make it fun for kids, and it shows the kids what it's meant for, how your community is supposed to utilize it, and some of the resources that are there. Also, small businesses are great. We have a lot of small businesses in our church, and so if you have any parents in your cohort or your co-op that own a small business, if your church owns any of them, in local areas like small bakeries, it is great to go through a small business and kind of let them see, how the operations are run and what it looks like to be a small business owner. And we're kind of set up in the United States that this is really where United States has flourished. So I know if you live in the US, you are surrounded by opportunities to check out a small business, and odds are the small business will be thrilled to have you through there. Another one is your local history and landmarks, usually in like your smaller counties. Also, there are landmarks in your state that you can have. Now, we are in Virginia, so we are kind of surrounded by history. If you look left, right, up, down, even with your eyes closed. So some of the things that we have you have are battlefields, you have historic churches, you have historic landmarks, you have famous cemeteries, there are libraries filled with stuff. Usually anywhere in your local area, there's going to be some type of historical something. We have one down the road, and a developer was going to come through and just tear down this beautiful house from like the late 1700s, early 1800s, and our local county went in and bought it so that it could be preserved, and now it's a very cheap, almost nearly free museum that the whole county can access. So a lot of counties have things. We have our first jail is now a history tour, and ironically my grandfather and great-grandfather also used to work there. So there's lots of small things. I know our county in particular has done some incredible jobs of restoring and keeping things accessible, but I know so many other counties have that. You just kind of got to dig around. And we went to our local historical society, and they gave us a whole brochure and pamphlet of all the things that are free in the county for like the historical committee went through, that you can go and see, and all it takes is a small donation to the county and you can get in with your whole family. And it's not like a monthly donation, it's just a small one-time donation. It's usually like $2 to $3, maybe $4 per person, and usually that's only for like ages 12 and up. So if you're a history lover, don't forget to check out the things that are like really close to your county, because they can have some really cool hidden treasures, and we've really loved getting to know on a deeper level what our county and community has to offer. So we also have local farms. We have done local dairy farms. We've done local pumpkin farms. It's really cool to kind of, usually if you call ahead, they will set something up and you can go in and see their operational processes and their workflow of the day. And usually if it's a farm, they'll have some type of other animals. We have one that you can go and see all the animals, and they kind of take you through the life cycle and process of that animal and what they need to be taken care of. And we went, like I said, the dairy farm, it showed us how they milk the cows, and it also told us about the process of keeping everything sanitary and their regulations that they have to follow. A lot of times if you go during the months of September and October, a lot of these local farms will have some type of pumpkin patch, so that's sort of like a freebie in addition to it, and a corn maze. But other than that, we've also done some, a unique one. We've stopped at little farmers markets and produce stands, and we got a bunch of ingredients, and whatever we bought are the only things that we were allowed to cook with for dinner that night. And it was a big family thing that everybody had to get together and pull through and decide, what can we make from this with only these ingredients that are fresh, and we all are gonna make a dinner together. So that was a really cool, fun one from like a local farm. Local science museums is one of them, and really museums of all kinds. There's history museums, art museums, science museums. There are so many, and they have some that are small. Like our county has a small little history museum. So really just look around. I know science museums, if you have a large family, it can get pricey kind of quickly. So just dig around, because there are lots of smaller ones that are not as pricey and are really excellent. Let's see. Another one is the local news station. We have not done this one, but it is on our bucket list to do relatively soon. This is one you have to obviously call ahead and make a little bit of preparation, but usually your local news station will bring you in. They will show you what it's like in a day of the life of them, and follow them around a little bit and see what it's like, almost like a career path, a shadow day, if you will, of someone in the news. And it gives kids a little bit of a view of a anchor person, a investigative journalist if they have them there, and a behind the scenes film guy. So it kind of shows, or girl, it shows them a little bit of all the different aspects that they sometimes don't think about that they need to keep the news station rolling, because you only see the person on the camera sometimes from a kid's perspective. So news station is definitely one to check out. A zoo. We have local zoos near us, and we have some bigger ones that would be a little bit more of a bigger field trip. But also, it is fun if you can't go to the zoo. A lot of them, if they're a bigger zoo, have the live webcams. And something that is fun is if you do go, when you come back, you can kind of each month or something check in on one of your favorite exhibits and kind of keep up with it. Or if it's a fun rainy day, one morning and you finished almost all of your school for the week, we've just put it up on our television screen and watched the animals and talked about them, and it kind of allowed us to dig deeper into some videos of learning about animals that we had interest in. Another one are some military bases. They have some very good museums located on military bases. Obviously, you have to go and get your visitor's pass, so you have to make sure that you have your ID in check and everything else. But if you're going to a, can't think of the name, but we went to an aviation museum. So that was one, and it was excellent. That was in Virginia, towards the beach. It was really great. It had all types of planes, and outside it had trains. So it was an outdoor museum. They had an inside area, and then they had all the trains. It was a fabulous museum that was inexpensive, and people around some of the military people. I'm sorry, I do not know my military terms. Apologies, I should. people that were hanging out that didn't have anything to do. They came and they talked with us. They gave us some inside scoop and a little bit of background, extra history, and it was just really an all-around good time. So some military bases do have some really cool stuff and some hidden museums that you really wouldn't think about going to. Your local county historical society and buildings. I know I touched on it a few options ago, but your historical, your historical homes from the 1700s that the county's gone in and preserved. Like I said, your first jail that you have, your county library has awesome resources for things around that are there. We have a local mine that we have. It's one of the first mines in the East Coast before they moved on. But we have a first mine, and it's in the back of a neighborhood. And it's really cool to see it. And I really wouldn't have known about it without going to the Historical Society beforehand. And a local author has written a kid's book of history and mystery, and it has a series. So things have kind of tied together for our history and some of our local field trips without knowing it. This was not planned for them to tie together. Another great option is the botanical gardens. We have lots of little gardens nearby. One of our parks has a mini zoo and a garden in it downtown in the middle of the city. But we also have a botanical garden like 30-45 minutes away from us. And the botanical gardens are amazing. I remember going as a child, so it was definitely special when our kids went. So botanical gardens are great outdoor options. Definitely something to keep in mind of the weather and the season that you're going with. And the last one are parks. There a lot of times the parks, you have the playgrounds, you have the picnic tables. A lot of our parks around us in other states, they have small trails, big trails, medium trails, so you can go hiking. They have little creeks and ponds that you can go wade around in and take nets and catch tadpoles and do all kinds of things. And a lot of the parks have gardens, and some of them do have little miniature, like mini animal enclosures. And a lot of the parks will have some nature centers for reptiles and everything else. And if you are going to a park, go to a state park, or if you are lucky enough that lives next to a like a big national park, go for that. But your state parks, if you go to one of the nature centers, a lot of times you're going to see some of the park rangers walking around, and they have always been happy to answer questions. And the smile that they have when all the little kids are excited to be there and asking questions, they are more than happy to hang out with them and tell them the little bit of their inside scoop, per se. And if your kids are really into it, the state parks have a program called the Junior Ranger Program, and they get little books and they get pins and they get to do things, and you build off of it for every state park that you go to. So that is really a great option too. So I know a lot of times we think of parks and we think of the playgrounds, but the parks have so much more in it. The nature centers, the pavilions, the picnic tables. Some of the parks now are getting fancy, and they got little like toddler water parks inside of them. And they have gardens, and they have little miniature animal enclosures. So there's so much to do inside of a park, and usually those are free, or you have to pay to park, which is usually like $5 to $10. So I think those are all great things. So those were our top 11 ultimate family homeschool events that I think you can do alone, with a mom friend, with a cohort or co-op of your homeschool choice, or with dad if he's off work playing hooky or on the weekends. So again, these are relatively easy. We have done all but one of these. The news station is the one we haven't done, but these are relatively inexpensive and super rich in information and knowledge, and I guarantee you your kids will love all of these options. And most of the time these are relatively available, depending, even if you live in the city or you live out in the country in a more rural area, I'm sure you're close to a farm. So all of these things are somewhat obtainable for kind of everywhere depending on where you live. And just keep in mind that there are more exciting things deeper if you are willing and able to do a little bit of research before you go. It's really, really a great resource all around us in our counties and cities. So check them out. I definitely have a much more bigger homeschool field trip list, but we just happen to live where we have so much history close to us. But we have driven on a 50-hour car ride to Montana and done national parks. We have gone across the pond. We have gone to other places in Europe and done a 3-week homeschool field trip in Italy. We have done multiple things. So if you are interested in a little bit of a bigger one, and don't let the thought of the idea of going to Europe or somewhere else bigger have a sticker price shock, because we budget and we do it for cheap because we are a family of 6. Money does not grow on trees in a 1-income household. So it is possible, and you can make these lasting memories with your family and learn and show your kids culture and explore the world and give them an excellent foundation. It is possible without having a ton of money, and I can show you how to do this. So please stay tuned, and if you want, please drop it in the comment section below if you are interested in a little bit of a more adventurous homeschool field trip list, because I readily, accessibly have this. So thanks for watching. Bye.